Her wheelchair shattered in front of 100 people filming with their phones, and not one person moved to help, except him. The quiet engineering student who couldn't even make eye contact dropped to his knees and fixed it in under 6 minutes, speaking in technical terms that made her heart race for reasons that had nothing to do with gratitude. But when he offered to build her something better, something custom, something that would take weeks of late nights in his basement workshop, she had no idea she was saying yes to falling for someone her military father would call the worst mistake of her life. If you love deep romance where brilliant hearts defy impossible odds, smash that subscribe button, because what happens next will make you believe in love that rebuilds everything. The crowd pressed closer, phones raised like a forest of judgment. Simone Wright sat frozen in her athletic wheelchair, one wheel completely jammed, her perfect bullseye still visible on the target. Behind her, Preston Technical University's Autumn Festival buzzed around her, laughter, music, the smell of food trucks, but all she could hear was the whispered commentary. Should we help? I don't know what to do. Just film it, someone will come. Nobody came. But wait. There was movement, a guy cutting through the crowd with the efficiency of someone who didn't care about social niceties. Dark hair, lean build, grease-stained hands that suggested he actually worked instead of just talking about it. Excuse me. His voice was quiet but cut through the noise like a blade. I'm a mechanical engineer. May I take a look? Simone turned those sharp brown eyes on him, assessing, calculating, deciding if this was pity or something else. Up close, he was handsome in an understated way. High cheekbones, intelligent eyes, the kind of hands that looked like they could build anything. You know wheelchairs? Skepticism dripped from every word. He knelt without asking permission, already cataloging the problem. I know mechanics, physics, load-bearing joints and friction coefficients. His fingers moved with surgical precision. This is a Tie-Lite ZRA model, right? Carbon frame, adjustable center of gravity. Someone modified the camber angle wrong, and now your wheel housing is grinding against the frame with every rotation. Silence. Then. Most people just say, your wheel is stuck. I'm not most people. He met her eyes and something sparked. Chemistry, recognition, danger. I'm Kai Chen, and if you let me borrow a few tools from my booth, I can fix this in 10 minutes. She studied him. You've got 7 minutes before I need to be across campus. Think you can manage? A ghost of a smile. 6 minutes. Marcus, bring me the compact toolkit. Here's where it gets crazy. Kai worked like a man possessed, hyper-aware of Simone's presence, the way she turned the crowd's voyeurism into education, explaining adaptive sports with grace that made his chest tight. He'd spent 3 years avoiding human connection, treating relationships like inefficient resource allocation. But watching her command space from that broken chair, explaining instead of hiding, teaching instead of shrinking, something in his carefully ordered world started to crack. There. He gave the wheel a final test spin. Good as new. Better, actually. I adjusted the alignment so you'll have smoother tracking on turns. Simone tested it immediately, executing a tight spin. The surprise on her face was genuine. Okay, engineer, you've got skills. What's the catch? Catch? Nobody fixes something this fast without wanting something in return. Her eyes watched him carefully. Credit for a class? Volunteer hours? A date? His brain short-circuited. No catch. Though, bravery he didn't know he possessed pushed him forward. If you're ever near the engineering building and your chair acts up again, our workshop is in the basement. B12. We've got better tools there. Adaptive technology, she said slowly. For people with disabilities? For people who need solutions, he corrected quietly. Disability is just context. The engineering is what matters. She pulled out her phone. Give me your number. I might take you up on that workshop visit. Kai Chen, who could solder microscopic circuit boards without blinking, nearly dropped his phone exchanging numbers with Simone Wright. Thanks for the rescue, engineer. She started to leave, then paused. And Kai? It was 5 minutes, 42 seconds, not 6. Precision matters. She was gone before he could respond, leaving him with grease on his hands and something terrifying blooming in his chest. His friend Marcus appeared at his elbow. Brother, you're smiling, like an actual smile. Should I call a doctor? But Kai was already gone, mentally redesigning her chair, improving stability and comfort and performance. He barely heard the teasing. He had no idea he'd just met the person who would completely dismantle his carefully ordered world. Or that her father was about to make that dismantling a whole lot more complicated. Unknown. Emergency. Workshop. Now. Kai. Simone? Unknown. Chair catastrophe. Wheel literally detached. Currently stranded outside the athletic center looking extremely undignified. Please tell me you're on campus. Kai Chen didn't run. Ever. He moved with calculated efficiency, never rushed, never flustered. But for Simone Wright? He grabbed his toolkit and sprinted across campus like his life depended on it. He found her on a bench, one wheel completely separated from the frame, looking equal parts annoyed and amused. So, she said, as he skidded to a stop breathless. This is embarrassing. He was already examining the damage. What happened? Aggressive curb. Poor judgment. Pride before the fall. She watched him work. Campus Accessibility Services said 90 minutes for a loaner chair. You said 15. His mind raced through solutions. This needs parts I don't have, but... He looked at the building behind them. Where were you headed? Training facility. Practice in 20 minutes. Kai made a decision that would have paralyzed him with overthinking under normal circumstances. How do you feel about piggyback rides? She blinked. Excuse me? I can't fix this here, but I can carry you to practice while I figure out a repair plan. Unless you'd rather wait 90 minutes. He turned, crouching slightly. Your call. For a moment she just stared. Then, slowly she laughed. That same unguarded sound from the plaza. You know what? Why not? But if you drop me, engineer, I'm leaving a very detailed negative review. She positioned herself, arms wrapping around his shoulders. She was lighter than he'd expected, but solid with muscle, athletic, strong. Comfortable? He managed. Define comfortable, but functional? Yes. Let's go. And here's where everything changed. What followed was the strangest, most wonderful 20 minutes of Kai's life. Simone narrated their route with precision, and somehow they fell into conversation that felt nothing like the awkward small talk he usually endured. So why adaptive technology? She asked. Personal connection or just academic interest? Both. Neither. He organized his thoughts. My cousin lost his arm in a manufacturing accident when I was 12. Watched him struggle with the available prosthetics. Expensive, uncomfortable, limited. I decided then that I could build something better. Did you? I'm working on it. Neural integration prototype. But cost scaling is still prohibitive. He felt her shift against his back. What about you? How long have you been shooting? Since I was 8. My dad was military, competitive marksman. Taught me before. Her breathing changed. Before my accident. Car crash when I was 15. Spinal cord injury. T12L1 level. Paralysis from the waist down. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm not. Her voice was firm. I had a choice. Let it define me, or let it refine me. I chose refine. Turns out sitting down makes you a more stable shooting platform anyway. Went to nationals last year, placed fourth. Fourth in the nation? Kai couldn't keep the impressed tone from his voice. That's extraordinary. That's practice. Same as your engineering. You put in the hours, you get the results. Though I'll admit, being carried across campus by a cute guy who builds prosthetic arms is a new experience. He nearly tripped. Cute? Did I stutter, engineer? She was definitely smiling. You think I hand out my number to everyone who fixes my chair? Please, I've got standards. They reached the training facility. Their eyes met as he helped her into a facility wheelchair, and something passed between them. Acknowledgement, maybe, or promise. Thank you, Simone said softly, for not making this weird, for just helping. Thank you, he countered, for trusting me. Not everyone would. Well, she adjusted her position. You've got honest eyes. Also, you did pass my initial background check. You... What? She grinned. Googled you after the plaza. Kai Chen, Dean's List every semester, published 3 papers on biomechanical integration, volunteer tutor at the community center. Either you're genuinely decent or you're running the longest con in history. I'm betting on decent. He should have been unsettled. Instead, he found himself smiling. Is trust always this transactional for you? Trust is a risk assessment. I'm just more systematic about it than most people. She started toward the training room, then paused. Hey, Kai. About my chair. The one that's currently broken outside. Could you really fix it? Or should I just file an insurance claim? I can fix it, he said immediately. Then, before he could second-guess himself, or I could build you something better. Custom design, optimized for your specific needs and usage patterns, if you want. She turned fully to look at him, eyes sharp with interest. That would take weeks, maybe months. Why would you invest that kind of time? Because I can't stop thinking about you. Because you make me want to be brave. Because when you smiled at me in the plaza, something in my chest rearranged itself permanently. Out loud. Because it's an interesting engineering challenge, and because you deserve equipment that works as hard as you do. Simone studied him for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. Okay, engineer. Build me something extraordinary. The next morning, Kai arrived at the campus coffee shop 15 minutes early, 3 different notebook options in his bag, and a growing sense that he was about to do something either very brave or very stupid. Simone rolled up precisely on time, hair loose in natural curls that framed her face. When she smiled at him, Kai forgot every measurement he'd planned to take. Morning, engineer. Ready to design something extraordinary? Ready. He pulled out his tablet. I made a preliminary sketch based on your current chair specifications, but I want to understand your actual usage patterns. Wow, you really do approach everything like a design problem. She accepted the coffee he'd already ordered, Americano with room for cream, and raised an eyebrow when it matched perfectly. Lucky guess? Statistical analysis based on your stated personality traits and observed behaviors. Also, you mentioned liking precision, and Americanos offer the most precise flavor control. He caught her expression. That's weird. I made it weird. That's extremely weird, she agreed. Also kind of impressive. What followed was 2 hours that felt like 20 minutes. Simone described her daily life with systematic detail. Kai's engineer brain loved distances traveled, terrain types, weight distribution challenges, the specific demands of archery training versus classroom navigation. But she also shared stories, made jokes, challenged his assumptions in ways that made him think harder and deeper. The thing nobody tells you about wheelchairs, she said, is that they become part of your identity, but they're also just tools. Like, yes, it's how I move through the world, but it's also just a machine, a really important machine, but still, It can be upgraded, optimized, personalized. Most people treat it like this sacred, untouchable thing. You treat it like an engineering problem. I love that. Most people are afraid of saying the wrong thing, Kai observed. So they say nothing. Or too much. Never the right amount. And what's the right amount? He met her eyes. Treating you like a person first. The chair is relevant data, but it's not the whole data set. Data set? She laughed. God, you really do think in code, don't you? Would you prefer I think in poetry? Because I should warn you, my metaphor game is weak. No, I like the code, it's honest. She leaned forward slightly. You know what else I like? That you haven't asked me about the accident. Everyone asks about the accident. It's not relevant to the chair design, Kai said. And if you wanted to tell me, you would? Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, maybe, or appreciation. Car crash. Drunk driver. I was 15, passenger seat, wearing my seatbelt. Did everything right. Sometimes you do everything right and still get hurt. That's not weakness. That's just physics. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry too, but I'm also... She paused. I'm also grateful? Is that weird? Because it taught me things about strength and resilience I might never have learned otherwise. It gave me archery at a competitive level. It made me who I am. That's not weird, Kai said quietly. That's integration. Taking the variable you can't change and making it work for you instead of against you. See, this is why I like you, Kai Chen. You get it without me having to explain it to death. I like you too. He didn't say. I like you so much, it's terrifying. Instead, he returned to his tablet. Okay, based on your requirements, I'm thinking carbon fiber frame with titanium reinforcements at stress points, custom molded seat, adjustable backrest, and, here's the interesting part, a modular wheel system. Quick release, so you can swap between different wheel types depending on terrain. Simone's eyes went wide. Kai, that's incredible. But the cost? The materials cost about what you'd pay for a mid-range commercial chair. I'm donating the labor because... He hesitated. Because I want to. Because building things for people who'll actually use them, who'll push them to their limits and help me improve the design, that's worth more than money to me. I feel like I should argue with you about this. You could, but would you rather argue, or would you rather have a chair that's perfectly optimized for your needs? She grinned. I see your efficient decision-making and raise you my competitive nature. When can we start? Today, if you're free. But as they left the coffee shop together, Simone's phone buzzed with a text that made her smile fade. Dad. Family dinner tonight, 6 p.m. sharp, no excuses. Dad. Your sister's bringing her fiancé. We need to talk about your future. She deleted the messages without responding. Her father meant well. She knew that. But Sergeant Major Marcus Wright's version of talking about her future usually meant lectures about stability, safety, finding a good man to take care of her. As if her disability made her incapable of taking care of herself. Everything okay? Kai asked, noticing her expression change. Simone forced a smile. Family stuff. Nothing urgent. She pushed forward. Come on, engineer. I've got about 6 hours before I need to deal with real life. Let's make them count. Here's where things get intense. The family dinner started exactly as Simone predicted. Badly. Her father sat at the head of the table, still carrying himself with military precision despite retiring 3 years ago. Her older sister Angela sat beside her fiancé, a corporate lawyer named David who wore his success like armor. So, Simone, David said, cutting his steak with surgical precision. Angela tells me you're still pursuing this archery thing. That's great for a hobby. But have you thought about career prospects? Something stable? I'm a junior majoring in sports psychology with a minor in adaptive athletics, Simone said evenly. My career prospects are fine. Sports psychology? Her father's voice carried that particular tone, not quite dismissive, but close. And what does that pay? Enough to support yourself? Cover medical expenses? Marcus, her mother warned softly. I'm just asking practical questions, Patricia. Simone needs to think about her future. Realistically. He turned to his daughter. Baby girl, you know I want what's best for you, but you have to be smart about this. You have needs, considerations that other people don't. You mean I'm disabled, Dad? You can say the word. Simone set down her fork carefully. And yes, I have considerations. I also have a 3.8 GPA, a competitive shooting record that's getting attention from national teams, and about a dozen professors who think I could make a real impact in adaptive sports research. So when you talk about my future, maybe consider that. I'm already building one. Research doesn't pay the bills, David interjected. You need security. Someone who can take care of me? Simone's voice went sharp. Finish that sentence, David. I dare you. Angela touched her fiancé's arm in warning. She knew that tone. What David means, her father said, attempting diplomacy, is that partnerships matter. Having someone reliable, someone with resources and stability, that's not a bad thing. It's smart planning. Like how you planned my whole life after the accident. Simone met her father's eyes. Physical therapy schedules, doctor appointments, the right adaptive equipment, the safe degree programs. I appreciate everything you've done, Dad. I do. But I'm 21 years old. At some point, you have to let me make my own choices. Even if those choices are mistakes? The question hung in the air like smoke. Especially then, Simone said quietly, because they'll be my mistakes. My life. My choices. Her father's jaw tightened. This is about that boy, isn't it? The one you've been spending time with. Angela told me she saw you with him. Simone shot her sister a look. His name is Kai, Simone said. And yes, I've been spending time with him. He's building me a custom wheelchair. A wheelchair? Her father's voice dripped with skepticism. This boy, what, he works for a medical supply company? He's a mechanical engineering student, specializes in adaptive technology and biomechanical integration. He's brilliant, actually. A college student building you a wheelchair. Her father shook his head. Simone, that's not professional. That's not safe. What if something goes wrong? What if you get hurt? Then I'll deal with it, like I deal with everything else. You shouldn't have to deal with everything alone. The words burst out of her father with surprising emotion. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You need someone solid, someone established, not some kid playing inventor in a basement workshop. Kai sees me as a person, not a problem. He doesn't treat my disability like a tragedy or a burden. He treats it like data, relevant information for building better solutions. Do you know how rare that is? How refreshing? He's filling your head with fantasies. He's treating me like I'm capable, like I'm strong, like I'm not some fragile thing that needs to be wrapped in bubble wrap and protected from the world. Her voice cracked slightly. Why can't you see me that way, Dad? Why can't you believe I can handle my own life? Silence fell over the table. Her father's face worked through several emotions before settling on something between frustration and heartbreak. I almost lost you once, baby girl. That accident. When the hospital called, when they said you might not survive the surgery, I can't go through that again. I can't watch you take unnecessary risks. Living isn't a risk, Dad. It's just living. Simone softened slightly. I know you're scared. I'm scared too sometimes. But I can't let that fear make me small. I won't. She grabbed her bag. I need to go. Thank you for dinner, Mom. Simone, wait. Her father started. But she was already heading for the door. Outside, she sat in her car for 10 minutes, hands shaking. Her phone buzzed. Kini, quick question. For the wheel bearings, do you prefer smoother ride quality or more responsive handling? There's a trade-off in the seal design. Kai. Also, how was dinner with your family? She stared at the messages, at this man who asked her about bearing preferences, instead of making assumptions. Simone. Responsive handling. Always choose performance over comfort. Simone. Dinner was complicated. Family stuff. Kai. Want to talk about it? Or should I distract you with engineering specifications? Simone. Distraction, please. What followed was a 40-minute text conversation about carbon fiber layup techniques that somehow made her feel more grounded than any of her family's concern. What she didn't tell him. She was starting to need these conversations, need his calm rationality, his absolute confidence in her capabilities. What she didn't tell him, she was falling for him, and it terrified her. The next 2 weeks unfolded in a pattern that felt dangerously like courtship disguised as collaboration. But here's the thing. Simone would finish practice or classes, head to Kai's basement workshop, and spend hours discussing chair modifications while their conversations drifted into territory that had nothing to do with engineering. She learned that Kai had a complicated relationship with small spaces, something about a childhood incident he didn't want to detail, but that left him avoiding elevators and choosing stairs even when it meant climbing 6 flights. He learned that her accident had happened on the way home from a shooting competition she'd won, that she sometimes woke up from dreams where she could walk, and the grief of those mornings was something she rarely admitted to anyone. He thinks if he controls enough variables, he can keep me safe, Simone said one afternoon, watching Kai adjust the seat mounting. But life isn't a military operation. You can't plan for every contingency. No, Kai agreed. But you can build systems with enough flexibility to handle unexpected conditions. Engineering isn't about preventing all failures. It's about graceful degradation. When something goes wrong, you want the failure to be manageable, not catastrophic. Is that your philosophy for life too? He paused, meeting her eyes. I'm starting to think it should be. Marcus and Dev, working nearby, exchanged knowing looks. They'd watched Kai, who usually worked in focused isolation, light up whenever Simone rolled into the workshop. He'd started dressing slightly better, caring about his appearance in ways he never had before. He's got it bad, Marcus murmured to Dev. She does too, Dev observed. Question is, what happens when her family finds out? They got their answer 2 days later. Simone arrived at the workshop earlier than expected, looking shaken. My dad showed up at practice today, she said without preamble. Wanted to meet my coach, ask about my training schedule, basically interrogate everyone about whether I'm pushing myself too hard. Kai set down his tools. What did you tell him? That I'm an adult and he needs to back off? Which went over exactly as well as you'd imagine. She rubbed her temples. He's scared, Kai. And when my dad is scared, he goes into protection mode. What's he afraid of? That I'll get hurt. That I'm not taking my limitations seriously. That She hesitated. That I'm getting involved with someone who doesn't understand what being with me actually means. The workshop went very quiet. Kai's voice was careful. Is he wrong? About what part? About me not understanding. He moved closer, crouching so they were eye level. I understand biomechanics and load-bearing structures. I understand adaptive technology, but the lived experience of disability, the social and emotional dimensions, that's not my expertise. So is he wrong to worry? Simone looked at him for a long moment. Do you know what the worst part about my disability is, Kai? It's not the chair. It's not the accessibility barriers or the medical appointments or even the occasional pain. It's the way people assume they know what I need better than I do. The way they make decisions for me, about me, without actually asking me what I want. Okay, Kai said quietly. So what do you want? I want to finish my degree. I want to compete at nationals again. Maybe make the Paralympic team if I'm good enough. I want to do research that actually helps people like me. She held his gaze. And I want to spend time with someone who sees me as Simone first, athlete second, wheelchair user somewhere down the list. Someone who challenges me instead of protecting me from challenges. That sounds like a good list. It is. She smiled slightly. Funny thing, I've been finding most of that lately in a basement workshop with a brilliant, awkward engineer who asks me about bearing preferences like it's the most natural conversation in the world. Kai felt his heart rate spike. Simone, I'm not asking you to define this, Kai, whatever this is. She gestured between them. I'm just telling you that you make me feel capable, powerful, seen. And that's really important to me. He should say something smooth, something romantic. Instead, the chair's almost done. Another week, maybe 2 for final adjustments. And when it's finished, when you don't need to come to the workshop anymore, then I guess we'll find out if you only liked me for my mobility equipment, she said lightly, but her eyes were serious. He stumbled over the words. I've never been good at this. At people. At saying the right thing instead of the technically accurate thing. But I need you to know that building your chair has been the best part of my semester, and it's not because of the engineering challenge. No, it's because of you. The way you think, the way you move through the world, the way you make me want to be braver than I am. He took a breath. You scare me, Simone Wright. Because I'm starting to care about you in ways that aren't rational or efficient. And I don't know how to quantify that. I can't put it in a formula or solve it with math. Good, she said softly. Because feelings aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to be felt. She leaned forward and he met her halfway, and when their lips touched, it was like completing a circuit. A sudden rush of connection, of rightness, of 2 complementary systems finally linking up. From across the workshop, Marcus whispered to Dev, "Did that just happen?" "Shut up and pretend we're not watching," Dev whispered back. When they pulled apart, Simone was smiling. So, still think feelings are inefficient? Completely inefficient, Kai agreed. Also possibly the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm experiencing cognitive dissonance. She laughed. Get used to it, engineer. I have a feeling we're going to be experiencing a lot of cognitive dissonance together. But they were so focused on each other that neither noticed the shadow in the workshop doorway. Neither heard the quiet footsteps retreating back up the stairs. Marcus noticed, and he had a very bad feeling about what was coming. The chair was finished on a Thursday. When Simone arrived at the workshop, Kai was exhausted but triumphant. She looked at the chair, sleek carbon fiber in deep midnight blue, elegant lines, custom detailing that showed the care he'd poured into every element. Kai, it's beautiful. It's functional, he corrected, but he was smiling. She transferred into the chair and the fit was perfect. The first push forward was effortless, smooth in ways her old chair had never been. It's perfect, she breathed. Kai, this is absolutely perfect. They tested it across campus for 2 hours. Marcus and Dev came along to document the performance, but mostly they just watched Kai and Simone work together with synchronized precision. They were perfect together. Anyone watching could see it. Including, as it turned out, Sergeant Major Marcus Wright. He'd been sitting in his car in the parking lot when he saw his daughter emerge from the engineering building. Saw the new chair, the way she moved in it with obvious joy. Saw the young man walking beside her, completely focused on Simone's feedback like her words were scripture. Saw the way his daughter looked at this boy. And saw the moment they stopped in a quiet corner of campus. The moment she pulled him down for a kiss that was decidedly not platonic. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. He made a decision. That evening, his knock on the engineering workshop door was firm and authoritative. Kai answered, his expression shifting from friendly to cautious when he saw the older man in the military-style jacket. "Can I help you? Are you Kai Chen?" "Yes, sir." "I'm Marcus Wright, Simone's father." He didn't offer his hand. "We need to talk." Kai's stomach dropped, but he stepped aside. "Of course. Please come in." Marcus descended into the workshop, cataloging everything. When he spoke, his voice was controlled but sharp. "You built my daughter a wheelchair." "I did, sir. With her input and specifications, yes." "And in the process, you started a relationship with her." It wasn't a question. Kai met his eyes squarely. "Yes, sir." "Do you have any idea what you're doing? What being with Simone actually means?" "I'm learning," Kai said carefully. "Every day. From her." "Learning?" Marcus's laugh was bitter. "Son, my daughter has a spinal cord injury. She needs regular medical care, specialized equipment, accommodations that most people don't understand. She faces barriers every single day that you can't possibly comprehend, because you've never lived it." "You're right," Kai agreed. "I haven't lived it. But I'm trying to understand it, to support her in living it fully." "Support her?" Marcus's voice rose slightly. "You're a college student. You've got no income, no stability, no proven track record of handling real responsibility. What happens when the novelty wears off? When you realize that being with Simone means dealing with accessibility issues and medical appointments and people staring? What happens when it gets hard?" "Then I'll figure it out," Kai said quietly. "The same way I figure out any complex problem, by breaking it down, asking questions, and working toward solutions." "Sir, I'm not naive." "You are, though. You're 22 years old playing hero with a custom wheelchair. You think that makes you qualified to be in my daughter's life? You think that makes you ready for what she needs?" "I think," Kai said, his own voice hardening, "that what Simone needs is someone who sees her as capable instead of fragile. Someone who respects her autonomy instead of trying to control her choices. Someone who loves her for who she is, not despite her disability." The word love seemed to hit Marcus like a physical blow. "You barely know her. I know enough to know she's extraordinary. I know enough to know she deserves to be treated like the brilliant, powerful woman she is. And I know enough to know that if you keep trying to protect her from living her own life, you're going to lose her." Is that a threat? It's an observation. From someone who's watched her fight for every inch of independence, who's seen how your concern, however well-intentioned, makes her feel small. Kai's hands were shaking, but his voice stayed steady. "I love your daughter, sir. I know you don't think I'm worthy of her, and maybe you're right, but that's Simone's decision to make. Not yours, and not mine. She gets to choose who she wants in her life." Marcus stared at him for a long moment, then quietly. "She chose you." "She did. Do you understand what that means? The responsibility, the commitment. I'm starting to, and I'm willing to learn the rest. For her. With her. Kai met his eyes. I can't promise I'll do everything perfectly. I'll probably make mistakes, miss things, need her to teach me. But I can promise I'll show up. I'll listen. I'll never stop trying to be worthy of her trust. Something shifted in Marcus's expression. Not acceptance exactly, but maybe the beginning of understanding. She talks about you, he said finally. Says you make her feel capable. Says you challenge her. She challenges me too. Makes me braver. Better. You know I'm going to be watching you. Every step. One wrong move. One sign that you're not treating her right. I'd expect nothing less, sir. Kai's voice was firm. If someone was dating my daughter, I'd do the same thing. Marcus almost smiled. Almost. You don't have a daughter? No, sir, but someday I might. And I hope I'm lucky enough to have someone like Simone. Someone who knows her own mind, trusts her own strength, and chooses her own path. Even when it scares me. They stood in silence for a moment. Finally, Marcus extended his hand. Take care of her, Kai Chen. Kai shook it firmly. Every day, sir, I promise. After Marcus left, Kai sat down hard, hands still trembling. His phone buzzed. Simone. My dad just called. Said he ran into you at the workshop. Want to tell me what happened? Kai. He came to make sure I understood what I was getting into with you. Simone. And? Kai. I told him I loved you and that you get to make your own choices. Long pause. Then. Simone. You told my father you loved me before you told me? Kai. Is that bad? Simone. Get to my apartment. Now. We need to talk. He drove faster than was strictly legal. When Simone opened her door, her expression was unreadable. So, she said. You love me? He swallowed. Yes, I do. I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other a few weeks, but I can't help. She kissed him, cutting off his rambling. When she pulled back, she was smiling. I love you too, you brilliant, awkward, wonderful man. You should stop overthinking and kiss me again, she suggested. He did, and it felt like coming home. Later, curled together on her couch, Simone said quietly, Thank you for standing up to my dad, for not letting him intimidate you into walking away. He loves you, Kai said. He's scared and he's trying to protect you. I understand that. But you also understand that I don't need protecting. You need supporting. There's a difference. He pressed a kiss to her temple. And I'm pretty good at structural support systems. She laughed. You would make an engineering metaphor out of love. Is it working? Unfortunately, yes. She shifted to look at him directly. Kai, this is going to be complicated. My family, my disability, the realities of being together. All relationships are complex systems, he said. The question isn't whether there will be challenges. It's whether we're willing to work through them together. And are you willing to work through them? He thought about the wheelchair in his workshop, about the weeks of careful measurement and design, about learning her movement patterns and preferences and dreams, about falling in love with someone who made him want to be brave. Yes, he said simply. Always, yes. 3 months later, Simone competed at the national championships. Kai sat in the stands with her family, a development that still felt surreal, watching her line up shot after shot with devastating precision. But wait, here's where it gets emotional. When she hit the final bullseye that secured her second-place finish and a spot on the Paralympic development team, the roar from their section was deafening. Her father's eyes were wet with tears. "She's incredible," Marcus said to Kai, his voice thick. "She is," Kai agreed. "She always has been." Marcus looked at him, really looked at him, and nodded slowly. "You were right, about me trying to protect her instead of support her. About her needing space to make her own choices. You were protecting someone you love. That's not wrong, sir. You just had to learn new ways of doing it. And you had to teach me." Marcus extended his hand. "Thank you. For loving my daughter the way she deserves." Kai shook it, the gesture carrying weight it hadn't 3 months ago, when Simone rolled up to them, medal around her neck and triumph. In her eyes, she looked between her father and her boyfriend and smiled. "Are you two bonding? Should I be worried?" "Always worried when men bond," her mother said. "It usually means trouble." But Simone just laughed and pulled Kai down for a kiss that made Marcus pointedly look away, while her mother smiled. "I love you," Simone said against his lips. "I love you too," Kai answered. "Congratulations, Paralympian." "Congratulations on surviving 3 months with my family, engineer." "Best engineering challenge I've ever taken on," he said, and meant it completely. Later, back at Simone's apartment with takeout and champagne, they sat together on her balcony watching the city lights. "So," Simone said, "Paralympic development team means training camps, competitions, lots of travel. You sure you're ready for this? Long distance, crazy schedules, me being gone for weeks at a time?" Kai pulled her closer. "I designed a chair that can handle any terrain. I think I can handle a relationship across time zones." Engineering metaphors again. They're my love language. He kissed her hair. "Besides, you're worth the wait, worth the distance, worth everything." She turned in his arms, eyes serious. "Promise me something, Kai. Promise me that if this gets too hard, if the realities of my life become too much, you'll tell me. Don't just stay because you feel obligated." "Simone." He cupped her face gently. "I'm not here because I'm obligated. I'm here because there's nowhere else I'd rather be. You are the best thing that's ever happened to me. Your strength, your brilliance, your absolute refusal to let anything stop you. That's what I fell in love with. Not despite the challenges, not because of them. Because of you. You really mean that? Every word." He smiled. "You changed my life, Simone Wright. Made me braver, made me better, made me believe in things I couldn't quantify or measure. So yes, I'm ready for whatever comes next. As long as we face it together." She kissed him then, deep and sure and full of promise. Outside, the city hummed with life. In Kai's workshop, the prototype of an advanced prosthetic arm waited for testing. In Simone's calendar, training camps and competitions stretched across the coming year. Their futures were uncertain, challenging, full of obstacles and variables neither could completely predict. But they had each other. They had love built on respect and trust and genuine partnership. They had the courage to face complexity together. And sometimes, that was the best engineering solution of all. If this story of courage, innovation, and deep romance moved you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Share this with someone who needs to hear that love doesn't have to be simple to be powerful. It just has to be real. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment, and stay tuned for more stories where brilliant hearts build extraordinary futures together. Until next time, remember, the best relationships aren't about finding someone perfect. They're about finding someone worth building something perfect with.